So off they go in the men's 1500 metre D race. A couple of DNSs here with Casillas and Dixon, I think it is, coming out of the field. And as you'd expect, in the lower graded races, the field's starting to spread out already. It's the Scots College athlete, Aidan Landy, with a PB of 4:48, shooting straight to the front of the field, 16-year-old. And sitting in behind them is the Randwick athlete, young Ethan Howard, in position in hip number 1. Owen Keneally, then of Run Crew, coached by Benny Saint with a PB of 5:05, sitting in behind them in third, and then getting a lovely little trail in behind him is young Henry Stewart of St Ignatius College, Riverview, but coached by Jack McBee. And then a little gap back then to the Masters athlete, Keith Bateman, who goes around in position number 2. The barefoot in the 1500 for Bateman. Through the first 400 is Aidan Landy of the Scots College. Just get our camera to focus there. So Landy up the back for the second time, runs a third of the way through the race distance, and with about 83 seconds on the clock. And this is where most of the racing is going on at the moment. The battle for second with the Randwick youngster Ethan Howard, just 12 years old, leading that race. He's just on the front of Owen Keneally from Run Crew and young Henry Stewart from Riverview. So they run through the 600 now. And Keith Bateman, the Masters athlete, hanging on well to these youngsters, just a gap of about 10 metres or so. He is off the back of this middle pack, but 2 minutes on the clock as Landy comes through to lead the men's E-race in the 1500. Young Ethan Howard just starting to open a little bit of a gap up in this middle pack, probably about 6 or 7 metres back to young Owen Keneally. And Henry Stewart now just gets up around the shoulder of Keneally to get on his bike and get after Howard. And Keith Bateman as well, also joining up to the back of this track, back of this group. And now in fact goes past Keneally of Run Crew, so Bateman coming into the race nicely. It's not unlike a couple of the youngsters to get a bit excited early. And the barefoot Bateman runs through the 900 metre mark. And coming around to the 1,000 now, starting to pick off some of these youngsters. So he's got Keneally, and now he's picked up Henry Stewart, and he's starting to get onto the shoulder of young Ethan Howard, and he'll do that. So the Master showing them how it's done as they run through the 1,000 metres in about 3:15. And the long-time leader, Aidan Landy, for Scots, is going to take the bell with about 3:26 on the clock. May not be beyond a PB here, 4:48 the mark. Bateman now in second with a PB of 4:12, although I suspect that was a little while ago. Yeah, the Sacramento World Masters in 2011. Keith Bateman's PB. And he's having a good battle there with the youngster Ethan Howard. Without giving too much away, there's a gap of about 50 years between these two. So Bateman and Howard having a good battle up the back straight between the Masters athlete and the junior. And they might be pulling Landy in here. Landy's going to have to get on his bike if he wants to stay at the front of this field with 200 to run, 4:10 on the clock. And Landy's starting to tighten up a bit. I wonder if the Master, Bateman, might be giving the youngsters a bit of a lesson here. 150 to run, and Bateman is going to get up to the shoulder of Landy and go past him. So the barefoot Bateman, with 110 to run, leads the men's 1500 metre E-race. Landy in behind him. Then Ethan Howard, the youngster for Randwick, trying to get around the shoulder of the Scotsman. But barefoot Bateman is going to be too good for them. 1500 metres. The Master has taught the apprentices a lesson. 4:48. Bateman beats them. Landy and Howard. Too good for them. A fast finishing Henry Stewart. And Owen Keneally comes over the line to round out the E-race in a great show of all-comers style racing. So we'll have a quick run through this start list in a race that couldn't possibly live up to that. The men's 1500D in 1, Lachlan Wheeler